All right, so tonight we're talking about this idea of identifying who we are trying to reach. Now, every church has a front door and a back door. And many of you might say, well, yes, James, that's kind of obvious that we have a front door and a back door. But we're talking about this in a kind of literal sense. Every church has some of you are so far away from me. Back there, it's like, I'm talking to you. But anyway,
That's the back door people.
That's the back door people? Well, let's hope not, because I'm about to tell you what they are. But every church has a front door in which people come in, new people come in, and that's kind of the front door. The back door is the place where people quietly leave. So the front door is where new people come in, back door is where people quietly leave, never to return. So many people think that they have a backdoor problem, that people might come in, but they don't get engaged in the service and doing things within the church, and they just don't stay, so they quietly leave out the back door. But also, many churches, and I think smaller churches like ours, understand the issues that revolve around the front door. It's very difficult to get people to come in to the front door. It's hard to get new people into our church. However, it is essential for churches that new people do attend. For most churches, about 15% of people who are with us this year will not be with us next year. Now, there's a lot of different reasonings for that. It's not necessarily the church's fault. Most of the time, there's a lot of reasons. People pass away. People go into a nursing home and are not able to come to church. People become homebound and are not able to get out as much. People get new jobs, and so they move to other towns and go to closer churches. There are so many different reasons why churches lose 15% of its people. But in order for churches to just maintain the amount of people they have in the church, they have to do a certain formula. So on image number 1 that you see there on that paper, did everybody get a piece of paper? If you didn't, raise your hand and I'll bring one to you. Great. On image number 1, it gives us this formula that Unstuck Church kind of gives us to get our minds around this idea of what we kind of need. It says your average weekend attendance equals the first time guests over 12 months. So, over the last quarter or so, our average weekend attendance over Zoom, in person, and out in the parking lot has been about 68 folks. So, from what this formula is telling us, we need 68 folks to come into our church over the course of 12 months for the first time. Now, you might say, well, Pastor James, if people come into our church for the first time, if 68 people over the next 12 months come into our church for the first time, that must mean that we double the number of people coming to our church over a year. Well, that's just not true. If everything goes right in the church service, if the people feel welcomed and they feel like they could see themselves being in this church, you average only about 20% of people that stay and continue to be involved in the church. So, if you do all that math, your average weekend attendance, 68, needs to be equal to your first-time guests over 12 months. Now, if I lost you there, don't worry. The only thing you need to understand is that the church needs to kind of be focused on making sure, among other things, that we keep this idea of first-time guests in mind. And then we say, how do we do that? Well, word of mouth is the number one way in which churches continue to grow today. It's the number one way to get somebody in church. If you want somebody to be in your meeting, if you want somebody to be in your church, it's not going to be advertising that's the best way to get them in. It's not going to be canvassing the neighborhoods. That might work in some situations, and maybe that's something we definitely need to try. But the number one way is by inviting someone you know to come to church. That's still the number one way. In our ministries and outreach meetings that we're having, we're also looking at this book called Becoming a Welcoming Church by Tom Rainer. And we're looking at how we can make sure that first-time guests feel welcome within our church in every aspect, some of which that we tend to forget. So those are some of the ways that we as a meeting are trying to make sure that we have people coming into our church. But a way that the Unstuck Church suggests that we think of this is that we begin to think like missionaries. Missionaries go into foreign countries, and they go into those foreign countries and they think about who is in this country, how they can meet that person's need, and then how they can tell that person the gospel while they're meeting their need. We too need to be thinking a lot more like missionaries. Of course, most of us in this room, we have grown up close to this area, right? We kind of know this area very well. So that kind of gives us a little bit more of an advantage than a missionary does, right? But we still have to ask similar questions. Who is in our community? What do they value? What do they need? How can we help to meet their need so that they might darken the door of our church? We're already doing a lot of good things and have done a lot of good things to try to reach out to our community, even in the past 4 months that I've been here. So in the past 4 months I've been here, the outreach team has made sure that the band, Southwest Middle School band, has been fed, right? We fed the basketball team. Is there anything else that we've done that has reached out to our community? Coffee truck. That was great. You know what teachers need sometimes? Caffeine, right? That's right. And so we've been to the schools and we've been giving them some caffeine. So we're already on the right. Go ahead.
And the barbecue.
The barbecue.
Greg didn't have all the numbers Sunday, but almost half of the adult plates sold, almost half were given away in gift tickets.
Mm-hmm.
That's our people loving other people.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
they have Brian's name on it?
13 of them did.
Carla, I don't want to give away any secrets, but Carla has a special way in which she prints up her tickets so that she knows that those are Brian's tickets.
You don't even tell them.
So I don't think you can pull that off and write Brian's name in. She's already figured it out. Those are all great ways in which our meeting is reaching out to our community. But nevertheless, tonight we're still going to focus on this question of who's in our community and how we can reach them. So we have in our little booklet, does anybody have an extra booklet at their table? For some reason I've lost mine. Thank you. We have in our booklet on pages 9 through 12, community demographics. So if you have your booklet with you, go ahead and turn over to pages 9 through 12. Whew, I really don't need to eat so much. I'm talking and then trying to breathe at the same time. I keep saying I'm going to go on that diet, and then I come to Wednesday nights. Monday, I come to Wednesday nights. So you can see our community demographics there. And I need Hadley. Hadley has long arms, so he's going to help us. And what we're going to do, so Hadley, just pick that marker up right there. Whew. What we're going to do is we're going to look through these community demographics and we're going to try to figure some things out. And maybe you don't need the community demographics. You know the area so well that you can tell us some things. But before we go into this process that I'll explain to you a little bit more, I want to give you a disclaimer. As we go through this process, we might ask the question, we are a church. Aren't we supposed to reach all people? And that answer is, of course, yes. We need to reach all people. Everyone needs to hear the gospel, right? And as we look at our community demographics and we try to figure out what our target audience, who we're trying to reach, may be, we start to focus in on the kind of people or person we're trying to reach. Now, if somebody comes to our church that's not in that demographic or not in that focus, then we're still going to welcome them into our church, right? We're still going to incorporate them. We're going to still make sure they feel welcome. And we're going to make sure that they feel like they are a part of our church. This process is not to be exclusive. It is meant to kind of focus our net and what we're trying to target so we make sure we're welcoming. And what tends to happen is the more focused that we are on who we're trying to reach helps us to reach a broad section of the community. So with that being said, if you pull out your phone, and you can if you want to, you don't have to. You open up your camera, you'll see that there are these little focus things on the side of your camera. to allow you to see kind of what you're going to take a picture of. And that's kind of the example that we're using tonight. If you see in my badly drawn illustration here, we have those little focus things. In fact, that's image number 2 on your paper. You see kind of the same thing that's on the screen. If you can't see the screen, you can use that piece of paper to follow along. And that kind of tells you these are kind of things that we're going to try to focus on. But before we try to talk about and see what our focus is, the first question we are going to ask is, who is in our community? Who is in our community? You can also follow along on the back of your paper if you want to see some of the questions we're asking. If you want to write some of these things we talk about down. Who is in our community? And my handy-dandy assistant over here, Hadley, he's going to write on the outside of our focus section, he's going to write who we say is in our community. So, folks, as you look through the community demographics, as you think about the community that maybe you live in, who is in our community?
Farmers.
Farmers. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. At least my daughter laughs. That's good. We are farmers. Okay. Farmers. We do have farmers. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I love having a farmer community. Now, if you can't see that in the back, Allie wrote farmers. All right. What else?
It is highlighted with hands.
That's right. It is not eye level with me. So, anything else? Who else is in our community?
Many young adults, many families.
Many young adults and many families. As you can tell, Hadley, if you can look up close, you can see that Hadley does have better handwriting than I do. He's doing better this time. So we have many young adults in our community and many families. Now that's great. I have served in churches before where the community demographics kind of say, we don't got no young families in our community areas. You know? So we do have young adults and young families in our areas. What are some other things that we might have in our community?
Well, I have family, but that doesn't apply.
Yeah, you have family right up the road. A lot of them, don't
A
you?
lot of them.
Yes.
We've got school systems.
Oh, we have schools. Yeah, so we do have
schools.
the school system very close by. I think that's an important thing to continue to remember as we talk about this process, that we do have those 3 different schools, elementary, middle, and high school, all there.
You got 6 schools.
6 schools. Yeah, that's right, because we have the UR.
So you got the charter, and you got Southwestern.
Mm-hmm.
You got 6.
That's great. We have a lot of schools nearby.
Airport.
We have the airport
And
nearby.
hospital too.
Yeah, she said airport.
And the airport, you got the Civil Air Patrol, which has a ton of kids. It has a lot of kids on like Thursday night.
So we have Civil Air Patrol. That needs 2. Anything else?
A golf course.
Yeah, sure, so we got a golf
We've
school.
got the golf course nearby.
Fire department.
Fire department, yeah.
Is that hikers?
It's close enough, I guess.
That's gotta be 3 miles, right?
3 miles are close to it. Give or take a couple miles.
Yeah, talking.
All right. Is there anything else you want to mention? Yes, fill it in.
All you have to do is look at the Burkhead Trailhead where it's bursting out all over Cotton Hill Road. You got a Brazilian hikers. I mean, that road is jammed. Because there's no parking in the parking lot.
Yeah. We have a bunch of hikers. A lot of people that like the outdoors there.
But right there in the Burkhead, I mean, it's like
Mm-hmm.
right here.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, you got 2 trailheads down on High Pine too.
Right.
Is there
And
any,
that 3.
Anything else we want to mention about who is in our community?
Churches.
We got a bunch of churches. Yes, we do. Anything else?
We got some lions, tigers, and bears, don't forget them.
Oh my. Oh my. We do. I tend to favor Ashworth as a whole town, though. That's because, you know, I was born and raised here. It's the best place I've ever lived. Not just me. Julie Lynn's lived a whole lot of other places. So, I'm only living in Georgia and here.
I'm gonna rank it up there, is equal to the top three.
Oh, that's great. Hey, that's wonderful. Anything else you want to talk about before we kind of get to our target audience, or who we're trying to reach? Nothing else? All right, let's go ahead and focus then on age range. All right. Now, Unstuck Church says not to go more than 10 to 15 years. That's a recommendation. What kind of age range are we wanting to focus on?
Well, in our reading, it said, we all really want to be young. So, 35 to 54.
So we want to age
No.
range.
What does it say? 21 to 34? No, 35 to 54.
I bet 25, 35, so 35.
25 to 35?
But there's a lot of young couples out here now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people in the older neighborhood, gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
everybody that's moved in or in for, I say 25 to 40, what I've seen.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I think, Renee.
That's 25 to 40, but every time, hold on, I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of kids on the back road now. When I went out and handed little brochures, a lot of
Yeah.
houses had 4 kids.
Wow.
Then 25-year-olds are making them.
So you said our age range, you want to be about 25 to 40. Is that right?
I think we ought to reach on.
Okay. You put that right beside the age range and within the focus. All right. You all ready to move on to spiritual background? So this is a couple of questions on spiritual background. Do they have a spirit? Do they have any spiritual background? Are they asking questions? Are they curious? Are they seasoned? Who are we looking to target as far as their spiritual background?
Those who don't know what they want to know.
Oh, okay. So those who
Well, we're targeting everyone, but I mean,
Yeah.
those who inquiring minds want to know.
those inquiring. You know right now. You chose yellow. Orange. I can't see that. So those that are inquiring. Anything else?
James, what I mean is, they know there's something greater out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I don't mean they're actually asking questions. They know there's something, they're seeking something greater than themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't know what it is they're seeking.
Mm.
So we're targeting that audience that knows there's more,
Mhm.
and we want to show them this is more.
Yeah. So maybe some folks that are seeking something.
Yeah.
So you can write down seeking something.
Which would mean you would go to the kids of those people, and you're gonna have the children who don't know.
Yes. So you said that first part of
You
it.
go to the people, you go to the children of those people
Mhm.
that don't know and are inquiring.
Yeah.
Those children that they have are not gonna know. We need to do something around those kids.
So it sounds like within that group of folks, also family, the children, the family, the children's a parent aspect of it. So you write down family. That's a good life stage right there. Our next question, what life stage are they in? Well, 25 to 40 kind of tells us a little bit. They have family for that. Maybe have children in that life stage. Any other life stages? Maybe single, married, anything specific you want to talk about there? All right, now we can move on to the other. What other things do we think we want to target? What other folks, kind of characteristics, do we think we want to reach?
You wanna reach anybody, I'd say.
So yeah, so that kind of goes in with spiritual background too. Those that are unsaved. Those that, so you can write that down, Hannah. Unsaved.
How about thinking in crisis?
Those in crisis. That's good too. Those that need something. So you can write down crisis too. Crisis. Crisis.
And maybe those who do believe, but they've never grown in
So kind of
their
stagnation.
babies, regardless of the age.
Yeah, yeah. So,
They just never knew to do more.
yeah, yeah. So kind of those that are, let's say, babies. Baby spirits.
Yes, obviously.
So you go spiritual, under spiritual, you can write babies. Spiritual background, you can write babies. Unsaved, those that are in a crisis. Anything else? Spiritual babies, anything else? It sounds like overall what you're kind of talking about is this, you want to reach people that need, right? They need maybe clothing, or they need something because of their crisis, but also they need something spiritual.
That's exactly what I think. They just need love and understanding, because everything else will come.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm gonna say this is not topic air.
Mhm.
One thing that me and Jared loved when we first came here was the love and acceptance that we got when we came in the door.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. That's wonderful to hear. That's wonderful to hear.
That's what kept us here, James. The first time we walked in the door, we never walked out, because this community was so welcoming. No pressure, just absolute acceptance and welcoming. I hate to call out anyone because I don't want to eliminate anyone, but between Carla, Rebecca, and Rex, y'all locked my husband in. Rex spoke to my husband, locked my husband in. Y'all just know the struggle that was up until that. But this church, and I think that's what the Hogans are saying. It was a community church. It was a family. You walk in and you feel family.
Yeah, yeah. Man, that's great. And maybe that's under what they need too. So they need family, they need love. You can write this down. You put need, and then need family, need love. That kind of goes into our next question. What's important to them? I think in that need love, meeting their need of family. Anything else that you think is important to these folks that we're trying to target?
Feeling like they belong.
Oh, belonging. Yes, a sense of belonging. That's so important too, isn't it?
I think the no pressure too. I mean, Julie Lynn actually said that there was no expectations of them. There was no pressure to them. I think I've been in churches where there were two Sundays, they were like, and you want to include them, but we don't want to.
Yeah. There wasn't like suffocation there.
Right.
Not suffocating. Anything else? Anything else that's important to them? Anything else that's important to them?
Somebody to listen to them, you know?
Yeah. A listening ear?
Yeah, listening ear. Sometimes, there's just somebody there just to listen to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Listening ear.
And that age group, I think the children's programs or whatever are very important.
Yeah. So children and youth programming is important to them. That's
I
right.
think people who come that are just looking for a church that's been in church, or especially the young people we're around, I mean, they're very, very, adamant, is it biblically sound?
Yeah, biblically sound. Yeah.
made an impact, and I think if we're looking to reach people, every day, somebody in this community has something. And I know when I first got here, I'd go out with Miss Brenda and drop off flowers and stuff, but if we start listening to our community, you know, somebody's out, somebody's doing something. You just all of a sudden show up with a plate of cornbread, a casserole, or your dancing shoes and a pickaxe. and just go in and help. It makes an impact. You're not asking for anything, but you're making such a huge impact on their life at that moment.
Yeah.
They're not going to forget you. And is it hard to engage? Well, she wasn't a stranger. But is it hard to engage with strangers? But here's the thing. It's your neighbor. Or it's your neighbor's neighbor.
Yeah.
Or Lynette called and says, my neighbor two houses down. A call goes out over our little sweep net or whatever they call your thing. And the one call. You know, anyone who's got, this person's got something. I think we have a whole community we could reach simply by showing up. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Give us an hour. If you've got an hour to go help dig this ditch or whatever.
Yeah.
Just a thought. So I won't raise my hand anymore.
Yeah. All those are big things. These are things that are important to them. Families, children are, the children programming, youth programming important. Love is important to them. Family is important to them. Having a family here, a listening ear, anything else that you think might be important to those in this target, this focus group here. Yes, Miss Linda.
But Hopewell always loved me. I think we need to be really careful about children that come without their parents. Show those children a lot of love, because it really means a lot. And it means when you're much, much older, it means even more. I think we just need to be sure we're paying attention to our children.
Yeah.
That's why you plant seeds.
Yes, that's right. All right. Anything else that y'all want to add to this thing here? I'm going to take a picture of it, and then we'll save this for later. We're going to answer that last question another time when we start talking about our strategy. How does our strategy address what is important to them? We're talking about that later. But I'm going to take a picture of this, so we'll save it for later. Anything else?
Well, I think one of the things that I hear all the time from people are, I don't feel the need to be in church. And the reason they don't feel the need to be in church is because they have bad experiences, or people who they grew up with that got older and realized they weren't exactly the people they thought they were. The dissension in the churches amongst the people, because once you do get started and you get involved in the church and then you see the inner workings, it's not as pretty as it was when you were sitting on the sidelines. I think I can honestly say I'm still visiting here.
Yeah.
I'm not a member. I'm still visiting here. But, and this is not my community. I drive 20, some minutes to get here, and that's a problem to me because I'm not in my community. But these are the best people I've ever been to a church with. So whatever we're doing, it's good. Whether people are coming in, God they will come. But I can't say enough. These are good people. Penny sits over there. She got cards from y'all, and she didn't get cards from her own church. Some of the women came by and talked, but I got 3 cards on my anniversary, and it wasn't one that I
We have everything in place. If somebody walks in the door, already, since I've been here, y'all have a way higher success rate than most churches do of retention. Which, when somebody comes in and keeping the person here, I think since I've been here, we've had 6 visitors, I think. And so far, we've got 4 of them. That's a 1/3 instead of a 1/4 so far. Y'all understand there. Anyway, Brian, were you gonna say something?
Well, I think that, when people are seeking out somewhere to belong, it's important as a body of believers in the congregation. And I think that Hopewell does this, because I know from my own experience, we don't try to change them. We accept people where they're at and help them through what they're going through at that time.
Yeah.
Letting them be who they are.
Yeah.
You're not trying to make, you gotta come in and be a friend, a Quaker,
Yeah.
and change people. You don't do that. You love them where they're at.
That's right.
And help them through what's going on.
I think that's also what Jesus did, isn't it? He met them where they're at.
That first impression is always the lasting impression.
That's right. That's right. All right, anything else before we close out tonight, y'all? I know we're getting close to my limit. All right, if nothing else, don't forget, if you want to come to Weekend Renewal, and I sure hope you do, it's going to be a great time together. We're going to have a lot of good conversations. If you've never heard Kenny Greenway before, you will be in for a treat this weekend. Make sure to sign up right there near the dessert table. There's a sign-up sheet. Yes.
But if you don't sign up and Saturday morning you realize
Yes.
you can come, please come anyway.
Yes.
Or Friday night, you come
Yes.
whenever you can. That's just to give us an approximate to help with the food,
Yes.
but you come anytime.
Yes. And two, if you don't like what we're serving, which I don't know what we're serving, but it's going to be good, I'm sure, either way, you can eat something else. We're not going to get it.
Carla, you gotta get you some Chick-fil-A.
Carla's going to go get you Chick-fil-A. Okay. You're going to use your points too, so it'll be free, right? All right. Don't forget choir, folks. We got a choir. If you ever feel leading on your heart to join the choir, we need a couple more members. So y'all come on out whenever you want to. All right. I gotta pick somebody to pray. Let's see. Everybody got quieter when I said I gotta pick somebody to pray. Do the nose thing. Nose goes. No, I wouldn't do that to this big of a group. All right. Renette, do you mind praying for us?
Lord, we thank you for this time to look at our prospects for the future and make plans and see our vision. Lord, we thank you for this day and for those who need your touch. Lord, we just ask that you provide what they need within your will. Thank you, Lord, for this group of believers who love others like you love. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.